developments taking place here in Egypt. We'll be taking a short break, and after that we'll be back to start our program.
In all the sectors, especially in the energy sector, including gas, oil, electricity, in the trade and investment, agriculture and fisheries, and renewable energy sectors. We also agreed to establish a joint business council as a follow-up to the discussions during the visit of His Excellency the President of Cyprus to Cairo last April. We highlighted the importance of convening the second session of the High Governmental Commission in Cyprus in the near future, in keeping with the agreement between our two leaders. And we look forward to signing several agreements and MOUs serving the interests and benefits of both peoples. Our meeting was also a good opportunity to discuss our trilateral cooperation with Greece following the visit of our dear friend George, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Greece, to Cairo recently. We agreed to finalize the needed preparations for the 10th summit of the trilateral mechanism, which will be hosted by Egypt shortly. The increasingly deteriorating situation in the region, and particularly the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories, has featured highly on our agenda and our discussions. The loss of lives in Gaza has reached an unprecedented level, as the death toll is exceeding 27,000 civilian Palestinians, two-thirds of them women and children. Grave violations of international law and international humanitarian law, including the targeting of civilians and the targeting of infrastructure by Israel, the occupying power, including homes, hospitals, schools, have resulted in the displacement of more than 80% of the population of Gaza. The human suffering in Gaza is unthinkable. The humanitarian support system is on the verge of collapsing, and the threats of a dangerous expansion of the conflict are real and unfolding. Egypt is working with the parties and major stakeholders towards achieving a ceasefire and calls upon the international community to shoulder its responsibility in this regard, while also increasing pressure in order to facilitate a safe, unhindered, and swift humanitarian access to and throughout the Gaza Strip, and to fully implement Security Council resolutions, including recently adopted Security Council Resolutions 2027, which calls for establishment of a mechanism in Gaza for the purpose of providing a larger volume of assistance. Egypt is also urging the international community, especially the donor countries, to extend their fullest support to the work of the international humanitarian organizations, and in particular UNRWA, whose role is indispensable in Gaza, and providing the exceptional life-saving assistance and services to the Palestinian people in need, not only in Gaza, but in the West Bank, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Jordan. So we believe that the role that it has been playing is indispensable, and that it should not be tainted by any misactions of a few that should not have resulted in jumping to conclusions and restricting the support that this humanitarian organization undertakes. We discussed during the meetings ways and means of cooperation to provide support to the humanitarian work in Gaza, and I want to express in this regard my appreciation to Cyprus, and will continue to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza through increasing the amount of assistance and facilitating its access. We also discussed the necessity of reinvigorating the path towards the two-state solution. Egypt believes that the time has come to transcend from a process and to take serious steps towards implementing the two-state solution, and including through ending the Israeli occupation and the establishment of an independent, viable, contiguous Palestinian state along the pre-1967 lines, with East Jerusalem as its capital. We agreed that more concrete effort should be exerted to contain regional confrontation and achieve de-escalation on all fronts, including on the border between Lebanon and Israel. We are gravely concerned of the escalation in the Red Sea, with dire impact on maritime routes and international trade. We underline the fact that bringing about a ceasefire in Gaza will help achieve de-escalation on other fronts. We also discussed several issues pertaining to the region, especially the situation in both Syria and Libya. We agreed that efforts should be ramped up to ensure stability and reconciliation in these countries and enhance security and prosperity in the region at large. Once again, I thank you, dear Kostas, for your warm hospitality and graciousness. I look forward to every opportunity that brings us together. I highly value at a personal level the working relationship that exists between us, but to reiterate once again that we believe that this is a strategic relationship, one that contributes very positively to the security and stability of the Eastern Mediterranean, a relationship well-founded and cemented in a long history of affinity between our peoples, but also shared values and a desire to, at the highest political level, to reinforce this relationship and find new areas of cooperation in all of the fields. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shoukry.
Thank you.
Just one quick question. Just one quick question about the humanitarian initiatives for Gaza. I just wanted to ask if you believe that such humanitarian initiatives, like those of Cyprus, can happen without a ceasefire in place. Do you see that as a feasible?
Well, currently, it is fundamentally important to have humanitarian assistance, despite the fact that we are calling for an immediate ceasefire, that an immediate ceasefire will certainly contribute positively to the increasing the volume, but that does not preclude that we have to maintain the needs of the Palestinian people, even though the military actions continue. This in no way detracts from our call for an immediate ceasefire, and all forms of increased volume of assistance is necessary. These are people who are living under very difficult circumstances. The displacement that has happened, the presence now of 1.3 million concentrated in the south in Rafah, and the lack of ability to have assistance enter at the volume that can impact. There is starvation, there is famine, there is lack of medical supplies, sanitary conditions are terrible, and all of these issues must be met. But again, it only re-emphasizes the need for a ceasefire to meet these humanitarian issues. It is important to recognize the enormity of the loss of life. And I was referring to the latest statistics of UNICEF is that 17,000 children, can you imagine, children have lost either one or both parents. What sort of conditions of human rights is this?
Thank you.